it's Flo, and this is my impression of a 1930s gangster using Progressive's Name Your Price tool.
Yeah, see? This Name Your Price tool really lays it all out on the table, see? All I had to do was tell her how much I wanted to spend, and it gave me options in one place, see? Makes all of it easy to see?
It's easy to find insurance that fits your budget with the Name Your Price tool. Only at Progressive.com.
I might need glasses so I can see more when I'm doing gangster stuff, see?
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Blog Talk Radio.
Howdy, race fans. How the hell are you tonight? I'm your host, Steve Big Sweat Billmeyer, and we're here for another episode of that highly rated, by my mom anyway, internet radio show, Racing with Big Sweat. Glad you're tuning in with us. We got a real good show tonight. A lot of local talent, a lot of people here from North Carolina tonight, so if you're not from North Carolina, well, feel sorry for you. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk to my producer, the man with the plan, my hero, Mr. CJ Sports. CJ, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing fabulous tonight. Sitting here watching some Thursday night football to keep myself entertained and doing a little bit of behind-the-scenes stuff today. So glad to be here. I'm ready to talk to these locals to myself, even more local to me, as I know one of our drivers runs out here at the Fayetteville Motor Speedway, so looking forward to talking to both these drivers that are pretty local to myself right here at the Fort Bragg area, and get to know these guys and get to learn a little bit more tonight.
As far as local goes, I got you beat. Our other guest, who's on the phone right now, is from Youngsville, North Carolina, and I'm from Wake Forest, North Carolina, and they're about 5 miles apart. So we at least know where each other's at.
There you
and my other buddy, my Mississippi man, Mr. Chris Yellow Caution Flag Creighton, is in the house with us tonight. Chris, how you doing, bud?
Oh, pretty good, Steve. How y'all doing tonight?
Doing great. Looking forward to the show tonight, looking forward to the racing this weekend, which reminds me, CJ, tell the people what we're going to be doing next weekend.
Next weekend, we're going to be out at the Charlotte track to catch the World of Outlaws. They got their tour coming. I believe it's the final race. But Steve and myself will be out there November 7th, the Saturday, to check that out and do a little media coverage. Hoping to bring you some live coverage and live thoughts and stuff from the track, thanks to the little handy Spreaker app on my phone.
Woohoo! The fat boy with the tattoos gets to see some sprint car racing. I'm looking forward to it big time.
Well, which one's the fat boy? You or Jason?
It'd be me.
I know I put on a few pounds and I'm tattooed, so I wasn't sure either.
I know, right? It's like, well, I won't go there. It might be offensive.
I used to be a big boy, but I'm rather petite now.
Yeah, I know it. Me too. I knew you wasn't talking about me. Well, hey, I got something to tell y'all real quick. We were actually, this weekend we had the Fall Classic, and a friend of ours showed up from Tennessee, and he was actually a truck driver. He had a student with him who was from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and actually went to East Carolina College and was if I'm not mistaken, a lineman at East Carolina. Travis Melvin was his name, Travis Melvin. But he was a black guy, and he got to experience his very first dirt track race ever. And my great photographer snapped a shot of this big old boy, Travis Melvin, enjoying some dirt track racing at its finest. Let's just say we made a returning customer.
There you go. Yeah, coincidence. East Carolina University is in Greenville, North Carolina, and I spent some time growing up in Greenville, North Carolina. And if you look at some of the old throwback pictures I put up every now and then, my dad had a Ford dealership there, Bill Meyer Ford, and he was friends with Junie Donlevy and sponsored Junie's car in the mid-'60s. Well, it all goes around and comes around.
It's a small world, Steve.
Yeah, it is. If it got any smaller, I couldn't get away from all these rednecks. But God love them. All right, enough of this. Let's go ahead and get our first guest on and find out what he's doing. I know what he's been doing today, but I want to hear how it went. This young man is a asphalt late model driver from, like I said, here in Youngsville, North Carolina. He now resides in Concord, North Carolina. If you don't know where Concord is, it's outside of Charlotte, and it's where a lot of racing people are located. Let's talk now with a young man named Brayton Hawes. Brayton, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, finer than frogs hair. We're hanging in there. I heard you were testing today at Hickory Motor Speedway. How'd that go?
Yes, sir. We were testing today. It went really well. We had a lot of race runs, and obviously a lot of mock runs. But yeah, it went really well. We put down some pretty consistent times. Really going to be hard to beat there.
How's that track surface? It used to be pretty rough, and it would eat the tires up. Is it still bad?
Oh, yes, it's still rough, especially on the back stretch once you're going down the straightaway near that wall. It gets a little bumpy.
Yep, I know what you're talking about, bud. I know. How's your season been so far? How have you done?
It's been going really well. Beginning of the season, we started off with, I think it was 3 wins in a row at the car series, and that was a really big accomplishment for me and my team. And after that, Southern National, I think that was the next race after that, and we had a bad set of tires, and we tried our best. Raced, I think we raced in 12th the whole race, finished in 12th. But we've had a pretty good season. We just had some mechanical failures, tire problems, and other than that, we've had a really, really successful season.
Good deal, yeah. 3 wins in a row to start the season out. That's pretty strong.
Yes, sir. And especially from last year, we only got 2 wins, but one was actually the Autumn Classic, and the other one was just a 50-lap race at Hickory.
Well, that's good. Sounds like you steadily improving year after year, so that's what you're trying for.
Yes, sir.
How'd you like Southern National Speedway?
That's actually one of my favorite tracks. I just like the high bank tracks. You can carry so much speed through the corners, and you get off the gas and get right back on it. It's a pretty fast track. We've had some good races there, some bad races, but that's a really, really good track to race at. I just wish they'd have a little bit more competition there.
Yeah, I used to take my late model out there, and the years that I was running there, Denny Hamlin was winning everything in sight there. So it is a pretty good track. It's like a mini Bristol. It's high bank and bowl shape, and you can really honk it on that track.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about your history. How old you were when you started racing, and what got you into racing?
I was actually 4 years old when I started racing. I started off in dirt go-karts, and I remember this on my 4th birthday. My dad sold my 4-wheeler and bought a go-kart because he used to race go-karts back in his day. And, ever since that, it just clicked. That's what I want to do for the rest of my life. It was just my hobby. I just love to do it, and, I would give anything up for it. And so from 4 to 11, I raced dirt go-karts, and then I moved up to a Bandolero on my 11th birthday. And we raced, I think it was 30-something races, somewhere near there. And we had to race that in order to race a legend car at the age of 12. So we did that, and then on my 12th birthday, we ended up racing my first legend car race at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the Summer Shootout Series. And, from 12 to 14, we raced legend cars. I had a pretty good time in legend cars. A lot of wins. We had the winter heat championship. We had the winter national championship. I actually won. I think it was 4 out of 5 races that week. And you know, we were really successful in that series. So you know, we thought it was time to move up. And we ended up moving up to a limited late model with Lee Falk race, and ended up actually winning our first race ever in the limited late model, and qualifying on pole. And after that, we probably raced maybe 9 or 10 limited late model races. And then when the year was up, we moved to Hop McCall Motorsports, and you know, that's where I am now. And you know, we have a really good team under us. I've definitely gained a lot of experience under the crew chiefing of Lee McCall. And, you know, we've had a really good year this year. Last year was a learning experience. And, you know, there's many more things to come.
I heard that. Yellow caution flag. Have you ever seen them race go-karts on dirt? I never have.
Yes, sir, we have. And as a matter of fact, what's even more fascinating is watching them race go-karts on dirt indoors.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
It is a sight to see. And we have watched a man, his name's Bill Moffitt. We watched him build a track inside of an arena that had never had a dirt track in it before. And it was probably one of the smoothest and coolest tracks you've ever seen in your life.
Are you talking about the indoor track at Wilmington?
No, sir. At Jackson, Mississippi, it was the Santa Shootout from last year. They've actually moved the race to Thanksgiving this year. I think it's called, the Turkey Shootout. It's a Johnny Brady event. It's a Maxis, and it's in Jackson, Mississippi at the Fordyce Equine Center. So if you're around this area down here in Mississippi or want to make a drive down, we get drivers from North Carolina and several other places to the go-kart track as well down in Gulfport, Mississippi. So a lot of big-name drivers come through here.
Longest, furthest I've been away in go-karts is probably South Dakota.
Wow, that's a pretty good ways, my friend.
That's pretty good ways, yes, sir.
Well, come on down here to Gulfport.
Go-kart race.
I'm telling you, hey, these guys know how to go-kart, though. If that's their sport. I tell you what, it's just as big as dirt tracking, and they have a special community. They really do with the go-karters. It's dads racing kids a lot of times. It's a different setting. It's kind of the, I don't want to say laid back because that would be taking something from a racer, but it's just a different atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm learning about go-kart racing some this year, and I've heard that guys will show up with 40 or 50 sets of tires, just have a truckload of tires to cover any kind of track situation they run across. And I think that's a pretty cool deal by itself. I mean, it doesn't matter what the track conditions are, they got a set of tires for it.
And then they're allowed to cheat their tires.
Yeah.
Do y'all teach? I mean, it's not called cheating, but do y'all put lubricate your tires and all? Tell us about that, if you do, because it's really fascinating.
Yeah, in go-karts, usually, we have a tire guy who does prepping the tires and everything, tire guy, motor guy, and then basically a crew chief. But yeah, all your tires and go-karts have to be prepped, unless you're running the box stock series. Then they can't be prepped or nothing.
Right.
Does that carry over to your late model racing? You can tell me nobody else.
That's the stock car racing.
Yeah, they tend to frown on that. Brayton, how old are you now?
I'm 16 years old.
And you've won a ton of races and some championships, all that in 16 years. That's pretty impressive.
Yes, sir, definitely. But I couldn't do it without my parents. They make the sport. they let me do what I love.
Well, I want to ask something about the Legends. How did you enjoy that in that time? And were you racing against anybody who's now maybe a step away from being pinnacle level, or do you have somebody you can kind of compare yourself to?
Actually, me and Kaz Gralla were actually pretty good friends. We met each other in Legend Cars. The people that I've raced against, Bubba Wallace Jr., Dave Reagan, Kaz Gralla, Daniel Hemrick.
I knew it. Jackpot.
A lot of those people. But yeah, Legend Cars is definitely a big learning experience with throttle control and everything. And
right.
you know, I definitely like the Legend Cars more than the Bandoleros. I definitely think that's a step that everyone should take before they move up into the big leagues.
I agree.
Yeah, I heard
agree,
that was one thing. That was one of the great things about Legend Cars is they really taught you throttle control and how to work thud of the gas, getting off the corners. Does that seem to help you in the racing you're doing now?
Definitely, especially with saving tires. So
yeah,
you know, you just got to be easy on that throttle, because I think if we would have skipped over that Legend Car days, my first year in late models, I would have probably burned the rear tires off every race.
Yeah, that's a good thing about a Legend Car. I'm like you. I think everybody ought to take that step to get their feet wet, so to speak, and get something under them. So your family's really involved in your racing?
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
You have any brothers and sisters that race, or is it just you?
It's just me. I have a sister. She goes to East Carolina University. She's probably one of my biggest supporters. If she's listening right now, thank you for supporting me. You know, my whole family, they all support me. Most of my family lives in Iowa and Nebraska. That's where I originally am from. And
oh, wow.
You know, they all support me. They're all really big race fans, and I can't thank everyone enough.
Well, that's cool. We were just talking about East Carolina a little while ago. Chris met somebody down in Mississippi that was from there, so it's getting to be a smaller world than we thought it was a little earlier.
It is. It's that's weird, ain't it?
I'm telling you, it's a North Carolina night tonight. I've noticed you run number 41 on your late model. What got you onto that number? Why did you choose that?
Really, the team that I raced for last year, they had Ben Rhodes, and he was 41, so I just kept the number, so I really didn't have to change it. My original number is 02. That was my dad's number when he used to race.
I heard that. I had posted a question in my Facebook group, NASCAR and Other Racing, asking people, you know, what number do you run and why did you choose that number? And I'd say 75% of the people that answered said it was because it was their dad's number or their grandfather's number, or some family member passed the number down to them. So that's kind of how racing works. I mean, everything kind of gets passed down from one generation to the next. You got any future plans for racing? What are you looking to accomplish?
Really this year, I'm looking to accomplish the Cars Tour Championship, the inaugural one. The last race is actually this weekend, Saturday, at Hickory Motor Speedway. It's Myatt Snyder's in first place, and me and Deke McCaskill are 3 points behind them. And whoever finishes in front of who wins because of the bonus points at the end of the year. So it's going to be a really good race. And, you know, last time we went to Hickory, we won that race. And, you know, if we do the same thing, then basically going to fall into our hands again. We have the most laps, most experience around there. And, you know, I'm really looking forward to that. Future plans for racing, what I'm hoping to do is maybe some K&N or, you know, maybe look into the dirt series, do some dirt racing here and there, and you know, just get some experience on that, and you know, whatever the future has for me, that's what's gonna happen.
He's got a good PR guy. He must know we know a little something about dirt.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I grew up around sprint cars in Iowa and Knoxville Nationals. I love those things.
Yeah, we're big dirt fans too. I worked for 2 speedways down in Mississippi, Hattiesburg Speedway and Why Not Motorsports Park, the legendary Why Not Motorsports Park. If you ain't ever rode the high banks up there, just ask Tyler Reddick and he'll tell you it's one of the funnest places he's ever been. Shane Clanton almost stole the show. Billy Moyer this weekend almost had the win, but Mike Marlar was the one that sealed the deal. Let me tell you something. You haul and tail if you run with them boys.
Yes, sir.
Sideways, Steve. Sideways, Steve. We talking on dirt, Steve. Sideways. You know? Do you know anything about that? I know you know about loose, but do you know sideways?
Not much about it, but I'm going to learn weekend up at the Charlotte Dirt Track.
Yes, sir. You're right in store for it. He'll be in love, I promise.
I'll have dirt in my beer and everything. I'll be having a good old time. So, Brayton, you're racing Deke McCaskill for the championship. Deke's another local boy from right here in Raleigh, and he's run Southern National quite a bit. He's pretty strong there, too. You think you can take him? Go ahead and tell me now. Nobody's listening.
Really, Deke, he's a really good racer. I really have a lot of respect for him. He's one of the veterans of the sport. And I raced him all year. We seem to race good together. And, you know, it's Hickory Motor Speedway. Last time I went there, I believe he finished 13th. And the one he's leading points now, he finished 7th. And I ended up winning the race. You know, really, whatever gets thrown at me right now, me and my team, we have the utmost confidence. I think we can really take anything that gets thrown at us.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And you said your crew chief was Lee McCall. I've heard that name before. I just can't place where. Where?
He was crew chief in NASCAR for Sterling Marlin, Jamie McMurray, and a bunch of other guys.
That's where I've heard that name from. I knew it sounded familiar. What kind of chemistry do you and him have? Y'all get along real good and communicate real good?
Yes, sir, most definitely. Really, that's what you have to have, driver crew chief communication. I go down there every summer for about a month or 2 to 3 weeks and work on cars with him, and you know, just try and get to learn everything, and not just come to the racetrack with a helmet and a suit and just get in the car. But yeah, we have a really good chemistry. Basically, like the first 2 races that I ran with him, we just clicked, and ever since then we've done really good with each other.
You know, that's a smart thing you're doing, to come down and work on the cars yourself, and that way you get to learn everything about your car, know everything, and you feel something that doesn't feel right, you've got a pretty good idea of where to look. How much input do you give Lee as far as, like today when you're testing, do you make any suggestions about shocks or springs or stagger or anything like that, or you just tell Lee how the car's doing and leave it to him from there?
Really, we talk about shocks and springs and all that. You know, I tell him how the car's doing. I get out of the car and you know, I watch everything that it's doing. I examine everything. Try and get to learn everything, and ask him a lot of questions about what it's going to do to the car, how it's going to affect it. You know, I'm just really interested to see what changes do to my car, and you know, it's just fun to me. I just like asking a lot of questions, and you know, sometimes he gets mad at me because I ask too many questions, but you know, we just joke around about it, and that's a good thing about our relationship. We're pretty good with each other, and we can joke and play around and everything. But when it comes to race time, we're both really serious and going for the win.
There you go. I'm telling. What do you think, Chris? This young man's got a pretty good attitude. He's ready to race.
Well, if I had the race team that was going to be competing, I'd definitely hire him as a driver, Steve. I think we'll get you back in the seat, and I'm gonna buy a race team, and Steve, you'll be the crew chief, and we'll see how far this kid can go. Because I tell you what, it sounds like he's got a lot of talent.
I'm telling you, it's a combination of talent and attitude, and it's paid off for him, you know, by the number of wins and everything he's had.
Sometimes attitude is talent.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
It takes a certain talent to have the right attitude.
Yeah, because if you ain't got much talent, your attitude goes to hell pretty quick. That's when you sit there going, why am I doing this?
Right.
Oh, man. You got any plans to go up higher up on the ladder, maybe to Trucks or Xfinity or even Cup, Brayton?
You know, that's my dream ever since I was a child, 5 years old, running go-karts. But, you know, unfortunately, me and my dad, we don't have really the funding for that, like a lot of people, and that's why we have Ream as a sponsorship. Can't thank them enough.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's for right now. You just need the sponsorship money and to get you up there. And, you know, I wish it was like the old days where talent could get you up there. And but unfortunately, it's just changed a little on us. You know, I'm really confident. You know, just really can't thank Ream enough for all that they do for me and my team and how much they help us.
Yeah, you're right. The old days seem to be a little bit better when talent spoke more for you than somebody's pocketbook did.
Yes, sir.
But, I mean, talent still speaks out for you. Your reputation carries a lot of weight with sponsors now. So if your reputation's good, companies know you're a hard charger and you're good in front of the public, you present yourself well and all that, they'll find you. They'll come looking for you. And you said you've got Ream now, so, you know, that's a pretty big name company, so that's a good start. Sounds like you got your foot in the door pretty good.
Yes, sir.
You're living in Concord now, right?
No, sir. I actually am still living in Youngsville.
Oh, wow. Come by the house one day, we'll cook some steaks on the grill.
Yes, sir. Small town.
Oh, yeah. Wake Forest is just barely bigger than Youngsville, but it's still...
Man, y'all got me wanting to go see some basketball. East Carolina, Wake Forest, then you had to mention that one. Lord have mercy. I mean, they have 1,000 colleges within, 400 miles of each other?
Oh, yeah. And they're all basketball powerhouses, too.
Hell, y'all just want me to take at this point.
CJ knows about it. He follows all the sports, so I'm sure he's aware of college football and basketball here in North Carolina.
Oh, most definitely. Definitely keep up with all of that. I really have no choice. Everybody around me decided to make sure that I have to keep up with it, regardless how good or bad the teams are.
Well, does the guest have any attitude towards basketball? How do you do your off season? What do you do? Because we're all racers, and I'm a racer junkie, and I don't know. I guess it's just something about college basketball that seems to take the mind off of. Football's fun, but what do you do during your off season? What keeps your mind off of racing for your racing?
I watch a lot of basketball. Me and my dad, we sit downstairs on the living room couch. You know, my favorite team is Duke, so I don't know if anyone doesn't like Duke. But yeah, I'm a really big sports fan, and you know, off season I just hang out with my friends and you know, just have a good time with my family. And if I have the chance, I go down to Greenville, South Carolina, and hang out with the team. And but yeah, that's basically my off season, and get the car ready for next season.
That's right.
Well, I was thinking pretty highly of you there till you come out and said you were a Duke fan.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, we all got that in common. That's pretty cool. It's Duke all the way, but man, I love a Georgetown or a Wake Forest game. Or I mean, it's basketball is its own sport. And I think what's great about the college side of it is they have to play as a team. It's not about each other. Even with football, it has to be a full team sport. But basketball has and it's got a good little step on it over there in the Tar Heel Nation.
Yeah, we pretty much got it covered here from the Research Triangle. Brayton's a Duke fan, and I'm a State fan, and CJ's a Carolina fan, so it all goes around.
No, CJ is not a Carolina fan. CJ is an Ohio State everything fan. OH.
I know. If I ever want to hear something bad or dirty about University of North Carolina, I can just look on your page and find it.
I'll tell you what now. Have you I had the question there right on the tip of my tongue, Steve. I'm sorry. I guess we can make it something easier. If you were given the chance to step off in the Cup car, what do you think that your best attribution is to bring to the table?
You said in a Cup car?
Yeah, if somebody were to give you a good ride in the big leagues.
Really presentation of myself and good consistent runs. If it was my first ever Cup race with a pretty good team, I just present myself really well, get my name out there as much as I can if I'm at that level of sport, and bring my talent to the table and really show what I got.
Well, that's good. I'm sure you might as well go ahead and start planning up for it, because I think you got a future there from what I've heard from talking to you and everything. While we got a minute, give a shout-out to your sponsors or your crew, your family, your shop dog, whoever you want to recognize.
Well, I would just really like to thank Ream, Mechanical HVAC Services, my crew, Hot McCall Motorsports, my mom and dad, my sister, my grandparents, cousins in Iowa, all my family in Iowa, Nebraska, just all of you guys for supporting me as much as you guys do, and sticking there with me, and just really can't thank everyone enough. And Bentley, the shop dog, if you're listening, I also thank you too for walking around the shop and protecting us.
There you go.
That's a good one.
You ever get a to go back to Iowa and race sprint cars or dirt modifieds or anything?
You said, would I ever?
Yeah.
Most definitely. I would definitely do that and go back to my hometown and Knoxville Nationals. Oh my gosh, that would be an amazing race.
Oh wow.
Late model or a sprint car. Whenever I was a kid, me and my dad and my Uncle Tim and all my family, we would all go down there and watch it every single year and go every day. And that was one of my dreams too as a kid, and it still is one of my dreams. And obviously I'm still a kid, but I would just really like to go down there and race anything on dirt. It would just be amazing to me.
Yeah, that's kind of on my bucket list too, is to get there for the Knoxville Nationals.
Oh yeah.
I tell you, between me and Chris, our bucket list is getting about 200 yards long now.
We better start now.
Yeah. And what we need to do, Chris, is just rent a motor home and just spend the year hitting all these tracks we want to hit.
Steve, I'm married. I may not be when I get back.
Yeah, this might be a reason why I'm not married.
It sounds great.
I'll tell you how successful I am at being married. I've bought 5 lifetime mattresses.
Wow.
So I've had a few ex-wives, to put it politely, and I miss them all. But I'm getting my scope dialed in, so I won't miss them much longer. Brayton, one more time, let everybody know how they can follow you on social media and keep up with what you're doing. I know I want to.
On Facebook, I have a page, Haas Motorsports. You guys can go like that page and keep updated with everything. On Twitter at Brayton Haas, that's my Twitter page. You guys can see lap to lap updates, and Instagram at bhaas02. You guys can see pictures, and I post about past races and tell you guys how I do every time. And if you guys just go follow that, you guys can keep updated with me, and also my website, www.braytonhaas.com. There's a lot of stuff there about me, pictures, and past races and finishes and upcoming races.
Cool deal. Well, I appreciate you coming on tonight, Brayton, and I'm glad I got a chance to meet you and talk with you. You're a pretty impressive driver, I got to say that. Good luck to you.
Brayton, can I say something real quick? We've got. I just sent you a friend request, and we have 49 mutual friends. So I guess a few of my friends know who you are.
Wow. Okay.
Well, yeah,
it's a small
Brayton,
world.
I tell you, it's getting smaller and smaller the more we talk. By the time the end of the show rolls around, it'll be like Pluto. It'll be real small.
This kid's been racing in our backyard, and we just now found him. My goodness.
I know. Isn't that something? I got to get out of the house. All right, Brayton. Good talking to you, bud, and send us a little message over on my group, NASCAR and Other Racing, and let me know how you do at Hickory this weekend. I really want to know.
Okay. Thank you guys for having me on the show. I had a great time.
Great. Keep it up. We'll call you. We'll get you back on here next year sometime and find out how you're doing then. Okay,
sounds good.
All right. Thanks again, bud.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Good night. Pretty impressive young man, isn't he, Chris?
I do believe so. Very intelligent and been through he's been through the right steps to make himself viable for the next big step. Because really, he's at the point to where, in his racing career, once you're in limited late models, you're basically at the stage ready for the high speed stock car, and I look for him to be knocking on the door real soon. We started hearing about John Nemechek about this age, and I wouldn't be surprised in the next 6 months till we hear big things about this kid.
It wouldn't surprise me either. I can't get over the fact he's started racing at 4 years old. And when I was 4 years old, I was sucking my thumb and learning to tie my shoes. And
I was playing with the dog that had a matted tail,
Yeah, I know what you mean. Oh, well, you're only as old as you feel,
That's right. Glad the outhouse is gone.
There you go. All right, let's bring in another North Carolina driver. This young man is from down in CJ's part of North Carolina. I'll get it out in a minute. What we call down east, down there in the Fayetteville area, and he's a dirt late model driver. So we got two late model drivers on. One to talk about asphalt, and now we're going to talk about dirt. I tell you, here at Racing with Big Sweat, we cover it all. Help me welcome to the show, people. Another fine young driver. His name is Martin Sweat. How you doing, Martin?
Hey, good, Steve. Just want to make a little correction there. Not a late model driver, just a pure stock driver.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah, we're in the beginning stages here, so.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm half asleep. What can I say?
That's okay. That's okay. Still happy to be on the show, and like to talk a little racing anytime we get a chance. So.
There you go. Your last name is Sweat, and they know me worldwide as Big Sweat. Well, at least county-wide. But can I be an honorary Sweat brother to the Sweat Brothers racing team?
Absolutely, absolutely. Anytime. Just starting right now. I had never even heard of the show until my brother had brought it to my attention the other day. So, I'd like to I start getting on there, listening a little bit more about what's going on in the world of racing here in North Carolina. And we've only been in racing 3 years now. I've loved it all my life. I'm a little different than the young fellow that was on there earlier. I'm quite a bit older. Didn't get started till I was 45, 46, 44, 45 years old. So, but you know, we're having a good time with it, learning a lot as we go, and you know, trying to enjoy the racing as we get a little older here.
Well, what got you wanting to race at 44? What got you doing it? From just watching
well,
it?
Well, it's something I wanted to do all my life. You know, and growing up as a kid, my dad was a big race fan. I was a big race fan. Went to the track quite often with a friend of mine whose father worked on a race car, a late model out at Fayetteville Motor Speedway, and just something I always wanted to do. And you know, I went in the Army at the age of 18 and spent 20 years in the Army, traveled the world, and once I retired, I decided to, you know, or actually while I was in the military, started, you know, had a family and started coaching my kids' football team, my daughter's softball team, and you know, just you know, one thing led to another, and you know, here I am, 44 years old, and went out one night to watch a friend of mine race out at Fayetteville Motor Speedway, and I was hooked. You know, I went to the pits with them, and never really thought I'd get a chance to live that lifelong dream, but you know. Got to talking to some people, and next thing you know, my brother says, well, we can find you a car if you're that interested in it, you know, and a couple weeks later, it was probably 3 or 4 weeks later, I was driving a race car, and, you know, it grew from there. That same friend, I raced in the same class as him for a full year and a half, and we raced nose to tail, you know, several races throughout the year. He beat me most of the time, but the following year he moved up, and I was that, which was last season, you know, and we were able to win quite a few races last year. But you know, it just something I always wanted to do, and you know, once I, you know, was done coaching my son's football team, my daughter's softball teams, and they got a little older, you know, I was able to fulfill a lifelong dream of mine.
Good deal. You're from down there, from where my producer and co-host, Mr. CJ Sports, is from. You know where he's racing, CJ?
CJ Sports. No, I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever heard that name.
I'm real familiar with the area. I got a couple questions for you, Martin. One, have
sure.
you ever run out to Dublin Motor Speedway as well?
Absolutely. I run there several times this past year. That's I run at Fayetteville most of the time, Dublin quite often. You know, there'll be rainouts here, and we'll go down to Dublin, or it's a fine track. I love racing down there. A lot of good people. The Richard Bailey, who runs the track, is great. His family, his staff are all wonderful people, and a lot of good drivers down there.
Oh, there's a lot of talent, and this area doesn't get a lot of recognition for the talent that's out here. I've had the opportunity to be out of Fayetteville and Dublin. Is there a big difference in the track, and is there a preference of what track you would prefer to go to from the Fayetteville to the Dublin?
Yeah, I love both tracks, and you know, I think with the competition level in my class, you know, there's a couple good real stiff competition down at Dublin, and quite a few you know, 2 or 3 real stiff competition here at Fayetteville. I feel like Dublin is more of a hammer down type of track, and Fayetteville is more of a finesse track. You know, you have to baby the throttle in the turns at Fayetteville, whereas Dublin you can get out of throttle just long enough to get the car set, and you hammer back down again. You know, and I love both tracks. It just seems like Dublin has a lot more grip than Fayetteville. But, comparatively speaking, I wish, we're only 40 miles apart. I really wish both tracks could get on the same sheet of music where we could race alternative weeks, alternating weeks where we, so that the fans would get more of a show, because they split the talent between the two tracks each week, and that's very hard.
Didn't they used to do alternating weekends?
I think they did quite some time ago. That was before I got into racing, and like I said, I was in the military for quite some time and was away from this area.
Mm-hmm.
And when I come back, they pretty much, they both run on Saturday nights, and it's hard for the fans and hard for the drivers, because you'd like to go to both places. You'd like to support both tracks because they're both close proximity. But it's hard to do that whenever especially if you want to try to run for points, and there's just pros and cons in both, and it's hard to run them both.
And first, I'm going to say at the very beginning, I started off, I want to thank you for your service. But as well, I know growing up in Ohio, like we had asphalt tracks we went to, and we went on Friday night to Killcare and to Shady Bowl, and on Saturday nights, for those that are local and they're listening to the show from Ohio, they know exactly what tracks I'm talking about. Is it financially not possible for the drivers down in this area to where it would be wise for Fayetteville and Dublin to do that, where they do one night Friday night, one night Saturday night? That way you don't split the talent and the fans have an opportunity to catch great local racing both nights on the weekend?
Well, I think it's tough for the promoters of each track. They both have promotional obligations, and they both have one. Mr. Bailey down in Dublin has his own trucking company, which he runs Monday through Friday, and only runs the track on Saturday. Of course, I'm sure he does a lot of other things throughout the week, but. And then from my understanding, Jim Long, who is here at the Fayetteville track, the promoter, he has promotional type of obligations to where different series coming in and out, to where they need to run on Saturday nights. Now, we did have a couple of events we had one on Thursday this year and 3 or 4 on Friday. That worked out really good for both tracks. You'd have a large crowd on Friday night, and then turn around and have a large crowd down at Dublin on Saturday night.
Uh-huh.
But I don't really know all the logistics as to why they won't. They can't do that every week.
And one more thing before I wrap up. One, was it the Thursday one of them just recently? I believe I saw it on Facebook. And two, have you done any other tracks local to this area, or has it just been Fayetteville and Dublin for you?
Well, not this season. This season we ran Fayetteville and Dublin. We actually went down to Florida and Georgia for a fairly new series, which is called the All-Star Stock Car Series, and it's a hobby stock series that is being run down there for the second year in a row now, and it's an extremely competitive division that runs hobby stock type vehicles, the Camaros and the Monte Carlos, and it's a 6 to 8 race series, and they pay there's a race that happened 2 weeks ago. They paid $10,000 to win. And that's unheard of in a hobby stocks or street stock type of series. And there were several. There were 2 $5,000 to win races, and the rest were $1,500 to win. So a great series that we ran down in Lake City, Florida, Golden Isle Speedway down in Georgia, and Waycross, Georgia. But year before last, we went. To answer your question, I'm sorry I got off track there a little bit, but to answer your question, we went up to Clary's twice. Year before this past year here, and we actually won 2 races up there. Really nice track, real little bull ring track, but really enjoyed racing up there.
Yellow caution flag. That's a pretty good paying race when you can pick up $10,000 for winning in a hobby stock.
Yes, sir. It is. It's a heck of a series. Very well run series. The rules, very little gray area in the series. It's pretty black and white what you can do and what you cannot do. And they have the first race we ran in Lake City, Florida, this past January. We qualified 8th out of 52 cars, I believe it was, and made the race. And then the second time we qualified 13th out of 48 cars. And that's pretty good considering where we come from. We didn't, we weren't sure we would do very well at all, but especially being as new to the sport as we are. But a lot of talent down there, though. A lot of talent.
Yeah, I agree. This is Chris from Yellow Caution Flag. If I'm not mistaken, Richie Stevens won that race, did he?
He sure did. Yeah, Rocket Man Richie Stevens.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
He won his championship by going through our racetrack down there at Hattiesburg Speedway. He raced some of the best down there for the Neesmith Championship, and I tell you what, that's a talent in itself. And you racing up against somebody like him, you can learn a lot. Rocket Man's well respected around here.
Yeah, this when we went down to Golden Isles for this race 2 weeks ago, we didn't actually make the main event. That's how much competition there is down there. A lot of great people, a lot of good competition, but we're going to have to step up our game a little bit before we can go back down there again. That's how big it is.
Now, did you hear about the Southern Street Stock Nationals at Why Not Motorsports Park? They pulled 95 street stocks from around the nation.
Wow, no, I have not heard about that one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Check into it. Why Not Motorsports Park, Southern Street Stock Nationals. You can actually watch some of the video feed of the from the race if you'll look it up on Facebook at Southern Street Stock Nationals, SSN, Southern Street Stock Nationals.
Y'all gonna need to
where was
stay
that?
in touch.
Where was? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
See, y'all are gonna need to stay in touch. Chris, he said he's traveled to Georgia and Florida to race. He might not mind coming to Mississippi for some money.
Well, I tell you what, we just paid $5,000 to win up at Magnolia Motor Speedway, and the month beforehand, the street stock race paid right around $5,000 or $6,000 to win at Why Not Motorsports Park. So there's definitely some money in street stock racing around here, and we'd love to have you.
Well, we'd love to come down. I've like I said, we'd. It was almost unheard of for us for anywhere around here. I mean, the most I've ever run for between the three tracks that I run in this area, and that's Fayetteville, Dublin, and Clary's, was 750. And for you to get into 1,500, 5,000, 10,000, that's big money for us.
Yeah, that'll buy a set of tires.
Not only buy a set of tires, it make your ego go through the roof too. You can get up there to win that.
Tell me about it. There's a bunch of them right now suffering that. I promise you. We won't name no names.
So you said there were 95 to go to the Southern Nationals?
Yes, sir. The Southern Street Stock Nationals, 95 street stocks showed up. There was a Mississippi Street Stock Series race. Their division that's been around this was their third year. Brooks Strength was the championship winner. But Calvin Cook, I don't know if you've heard of him before, from down there in the Florida area. He took this year's Southern Street Stock Nationals. It wasn't just 95 street stocks. It was also 45 factory stocks.
Oh wow! And how many races is in that series?
It's a 10-race series of the Mississippi Street Stock Series. You can check it up online.
I'll get on there and take a look at that. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, y'all need to friend each other so you can stay in touch and get him to come down there, Chris. Question on my mind is, you're talking about 140 race cars. Where do you park them all?
Well, Why Not Motorsports Park is a really big facility, and it's state of the art. It is the legendary Why Not Motorsports Park. It was built in the late '60s, and thank goodness throughout the years the Speedway in itself has accumulated land and more land and more land. And the promoter that owns it now, Rodney Wing, he actually lives back behind the Speedway. It was closed for 10 years, and thank gosh, some right things happened, and the man that owns it now, Rodney, got the crew back together. They went up and they chopped the weeds down and rebuilt the banks, and they've been racing there ever since. It's a great facility, and I love promoting our home track.
Well, maybe we'll get down there sometime next year and catch a race with you guys.
Yes, sir. And if you come on down, we'll take you to the Dixie 50 down there at Hattiesburg Speedway as well. That's a $1,000 to win event.
Nice.
Yep, that'll pay for your groceries for the travel trip.
Yeah, it gets quite expensive traveling with race cars, though. I tell you, it's you never really realize until you actually do it yourself. And this past year was the first year we had traveled like we did, and it gets quite expensive.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. I know we were talking about sponsors a couple of weeks ago, and I had a truck stop, Big Boys truck stop on I-95, right there at Kinley where Southern National Motorsports Park is. And he didn't give me any money, but he would fill my dually up with gas and give me like 12 packs of soft drinks, fill my coolers up with ice and water and everything. It doesn't sound like much, but by golly, you get to traveling a little bit and everything, and it saves you a ton of money just to get something like that. Fuel and travel expenses and everything are pretty high dollar right now, so anything
it all
you can
adds
do,
up. Absolutely.
Yeah, it all adds up, and it's people talk about they need this much money, and it's not so much money if you can get a trade-off with somebody. The barter system works great as far as sponsors go.
Exactly. It's a big help to get anything you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Every bit helps. So you gonna stay with the street stocks now, or are you looking to move up in the late models, or maybe even dirt modifieds or sprint cars or something different?
Well, at this point, we're really just trying to focus on getting better at this level. I feel like if the right opportunity come along, I would move up. But as far as again the cost and so forth, and me footing the bill, probably not in the near future. Maybe a few years down the road we can maybe expand. But for now, we're going to stay where we are. Try to get a little better. Try to learn the sport a little more. And see what we can do with it from there. We didn't have such a good year this year. We won 5 races this year, but had a lot of things that on the luck side that didn't go our way. Whereas last year, our 2014 season, we won 17 races. And we made some changes to the car to run in that series down in Florida and Georgia. And that, once we made the changes to run in that, it really affected the handling on the car, and we chased it all year. So we got some work to do in the off season to try to make ourselves a little better, but we're going to do that and see what we can do next year before we try to move up anywhere.
I got to ask you, because I've never really been able to get my mind wrapped around this since I'm mostly an asphalt guy. You're running pretty much sideways in a dirt car through the corners, but how do you tell if you're loose or if you're tight, if you're sideways the whole time?
Well, if you're tight, that nose is still gonna want to travel up the track on you. Whether tight is tight and loose is loose. It don't matter what you're driving. It's just to what extent it is, and I've never driven asphalt, but I would assure you that there are different levels of loose and tight depending on whether you're on dirt or asphalt. But the nose is still going to shove if it's tight, and the rear end's still going to want to come around if it's loose.
A lot of times in dirt track racing, what happens when the drivers are tight is they wind up in that turn 3 or 4 wall pretty quick.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because tight race car dirt tracking is not good.
No.
I can remember Harry Hyde used to tell us that there's 3 levels of tight and loose, and 3 levels of tight was it was tight, it was damn tight, and it was I couldn't turn this summit left in a 10-acre field.
That about describes it. Fortunately, I mean, we haven't fought the tight issue most of the year. It's the loose issue that we fought most of the year, and getting the forward drive off the car. With the late models, sideways is I mean, getting the sideways is okay, but with these with these street stocks like this, if you can keep the rear end under the car. And we did that last year, and that's why we were so successful. You're really, you're not spending as much, and then, we can.
Your forward bite is a lot to do with those cars. They're a lot heavier, Steve, and it's all about keeping the rear wheels in sync with the front wheels when you're dealing in hobby stock, factory stock, pure street, or anything like that. It's they're not running the same shocks and stuff that the bigger boys are, and I guess you can in some leagues, but
no, our shocks are way more cost effective, so they're not as technically sound as the ones the late model run, and like Chris just said, if you can keep the wheels under the car, it helps the forward drive off, and that's what's going to win you races.
Yeah, Steve, I tell you what, to watch a dry slick track and watch those cars, especially the stock cars, you can actually, if you're in the infield, you can see the wheels and when they're actually making traction and when they're just really sending dust. It's a phenomenon about dirt track racing when a track goes dry slick. It's really amazing to watch the mechanics of the car and how they force each other to work. If you have a bad handling car, your night's through with before the second lap.
So you're pretty much on dirt. You're concentrating more on the back of the car than the front of the car, correct?
Well, you want you want the weight transfer to be able to. You want to be able to turn the car in. So you want the spring ratio to be able to allow you to turn the car in, but also transfer that weight to the back for your forward drive off. And
light on the front and heavy in the gas.
There you go. He explained it better than I could.
Well, I wanted to say something else, but once again, I regulated myself to cleaner talking.
No.
Go ahead. Ain't nobody listening.
Yeah, right. The FCC.
Yeah. So some days I'm wondering why the FCC is knocking on my door, but oh well. If they come knocking, I just tell them it's what CJ tells me to say, and I'll send it over to him.
Yeah, I'm waiting for one day for there be a big fine in an envelope in the P.O. box is what I'm waiting on.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody last week about when you get in trouble with NASCAR, you do something they don't like and they're going to fine you or suspend you or whatever. They send you a letter, and the letter is written in red ink. So they make sure that you get your attention by you see a letter come in the mailbox from NASCAR and the outside of the letter is written in red ink, you know you have messed up and they're fixing to get in your wallet. Martin, take a minute.
I sent you a friend request, and well, we have 9 mutual friends, And I did notice that you were friends with Brian Litton from Race Logic. Are you planning on attending that seminar?
Not that I'm not sure when it is. I just I need to take a closer look at that. When is it?
Well, I'll have to take a look at it as well. I did kind of go into it, but he's formed the seminar, and I know that we have one at Jackson, Mississippi. But from what I'm seeing, that he has a website to go to, I think it may be a seminar that's at different areas.
I see. Okay.
But now that would be a great thing to go to. It's a chassis school seminar, so it kind of give you a better feel on the cars. You did say you've been in the sport 3 years and you found success really quick. 14 wins. I mean, that's quite a feat, especially when, and it probably makes you feel so much good about it because you know you've had this dream. How old are you? I know you said you're older.
I'm 47 now. So I started when I was 44.
See, that's what I'm talking about, Steve. That's what I love about this sport. I mean, tell me what other sport do you have where a man that's, 44 years old, you know what 44 feels like. I know what 35 feels like. So I can only imagine what 44 feels like. But
it hurts sometimes.
But, can come into this sport and be a winner that quick. I mean, it really, some people are just natural born talents.
Well, I've had a lot of help too, I mean, I really had a car that drove really well, and my brother Chris, he and Brooks, a friend of ours from Statesville, North Carolina, do a good job of setting the car up. And my motor man, he's done really good with putting together motors for us. Ricky Shook and another friend of mine who has raced a long time in this area, Terry Lawson. They've all helped me out a lot. I found out this year that the car don't drive itself. Because we've had such trouble with handling on it. But. These guys have really helped me out a lot and give me good equipment to run with, week in and week out.
We definitely had a good name return on Terry Lawson. We've heard of that name before and have had nothing but good news about that driver. I don't know him personally, but I've heard his name enough times to know that who you're talking about.
He's a little older than I am, and he drove street stock or pure stock street stock for quite some time, and he did very well with it when he was coming through. So he's offered a helping hand since the day I bought my car, and they really helped us out a lot. My brother, he's very patient. I'm not very good mechanically, and he is. So. We're in the shop sometimes, and I'm asking him questions. Well, what about doing this, and what about doing that? And he told me just shut up and drive the car. so I just drive for the most part, but I've learned a lot in 3 years. I haven't been mechanically inclined all my life. I've done a lot of different things, but mechanics is not one of them, and for the most part, working on these race cars, you have to be. You have to become mechanically inclined, whether you started out that way or not.
Yeah, that's the thing about working with your brother. You ain't got to worry about him sugarcoating anything. He'll be pretty blunt with you and tell you exactly how he feels.
Well, and that's the relationship we have. I mean, if we don't. He don't think I'm driving the car hard enough, he'll tell me, and if I don't think that, I think there's a setup something that we can do differently, he usually, we listen to each other and we work good together, and it's been a fun ride the last 3 years, and looking forward to next year. We've got another street stock car. The car that we drive now is a little older car. Of course, they're all old cars, but this one's been driven and raced quite a bit. We're putting together a new car or newer car, that hasn't been raced as much as this one, and hopefully we can get some results out of that this upcoming year. We got our work cut out for us, but we're looking forward to the challenge.
That going to be your main project over the off season, is getting that new car built and get it ready to race?
Yes, it is. Fortunately, knock on wood, we don't have a lot to do to the current car, so we can focus in on getting the other one all set and ready to go for next year.
Yeah, that always works good when you don't have to spend your whole off season rebuilding one car. You can just kind of tune it up, put it in the corner, and concentrate on the newer car.
Absolutely.
Take a minute and give a shout out to anybody you want to recognize, sponsors, crew, or anybody like that.
Well, none of this would be possible without the support of my family. My wife and my kids have been behind me the whole time, and I certainly appreciate that. My brother Chris, who again helps me out, and I mentioned Terry Lawson and Ricky Shook, my motor guy, and Terry helps out with a little bit of everything. And then some of our sponsors are Haymount Institute for Psychological Services. They've been a big help to us the last couple of years. McLeod's Towing, they've come on board with us last year and this year as well. Haynes Automotive, Total Growth Source Network, which is a networking system that's going to they're out there. They're going to try to network our race team and get us a little more sponsorship for next year. Metalworks Incorporated, Explosive Photography, which is my sister-in-law. She does a great job taking videos out at the track and taking photos as well. But that's pretty much a wrap with our sponsors, and just all around got a good team here. We try to stay focused on winning races and trying to get their name out there as well, and they've been a big help to us this year.
Sounds like you pretty much got all the bases covered with your sponsors. You mentioned your wife supports you in your racing. Does she go to the track with you?
She's probably missed 2 races in the last 2 years. Actually 3 races for sure, and she does a good job of coming out and helping us coming out and supporting us, and she just enjoys it. It's something that she had never even been around. Like I said, I grew up around racing, but never really had the opportunity to do it. I just went to the track with my dad and my friends and so forth. But she enjoys going out there and supporting me, and I love having her out there. My kids are both pretty much grown and out of the house now, but they used to come out and support us quite a bit too until they found other things that they like to do more. So, but yeah, she's been out there to support us quite often.
Is she one of those racing wives that'll get knee deep in your ass if you bump into her husband at the track, or is she pretty quiet?
She's pretty laid back. She's the calm one of the two. I'm the one that tends to get a little heated from time to time, but I guess you got a yin and a yang. She's the better half of that too. that the calm half of the two of us. And I'm pretty mild-mannered for the most part, but when you realize someone's done you wrong intentionally, you take offense to that, and she keeps me calm for the most part.
Well, it's good to have the voice of reason there with you when something happens like that. That's cool. And
well, we all need
it. Definitely. It's good to have family behind you, especially have your wife behind you racing and everything. It sounds like you've had a pretty interesting life, and now you're starting a new chapter, doing something you've always wanted to do. So more power to you. Thank you very much for your service to the country, and let everybody know how they keep up with you on social media, where they can see how you're doing and everything.
Well, we have I have my personal Facebook account, which is Martin Sweat, but we have the also Sweat Brothers Racing Facebook account, and that's pretty much the only way we're not on Twitter or anything like that. But we we just Sweat Brothers Racing and on Facebook, and we pretty much post our sponsors on there. We post our wins, how we did at the racetrack when we go out on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I've seen some of that. Sweat Brothers Racing is in my group, NASCAR and other racing, and needless to say, seeing the word sweat made me tune right in on that.
Caught your eye real quick, huh?
I haven't heard sweat said this many times on this show the whole time I've been doing it. Makes me feel good.
Well, we need to promote your show a little bit, so we're doing both. We're talking. You're talking to me. We're talking racing, and we're promoting your show. So there we go.
That's great. That's why I love doing this show. Love talking to the local short track drivers. Martin, thanks again, bud, for coming on. I'm glad to meet you. Really good talking to you, and keep us informed on how you're doing. We'll be looking for you next year, and if you get a chance, go down to Mississippi and see Chris. He'll hook you up with all the tracks down there.
We sure will. Sure like to do that. I'm not going to make any promises, but we'll try to get down that way, check them out, and see how things are going down there. And we'll definitely keep everyone posted on Facebook as to how next season goes. That All-Star Stock Car Series starts back Thanksgiving weekend, so we're not going to be able to make it down there that time. I already had some plans for that weekend, but they're getting their season started early this year.
Well, good luck to you with next year and everything. Hope your new car comes out all right, and keep us informed, bud. Glad to have you on.
Will do. We sure appreciate you guys having us on the show. We enjoyed being on here tonight and talking a little racing, and hopefully we can come back with some good news for next year.
Hey, you just spread the word around about this good little radio show here.
Absolutely. Again, I had no idea it even existed, and my brother come to me late last week and asked me if I wanted to be on, and I said, sure, absolutely. Anytime we can talk racing is a good time.
And Martin, I've liked your guys' fan page already. I did it today. I was talking to your brother. Make sure you keep in touch with me. I'd love to have the opportunity to meet you face to face, since I'm right up the road at either track that you happen to be on one of these weekends once the racing picks back up at Fayetteville or Dublin. Absolutely,
and we'll definitely keep in touch, and definitely like to meet face to face sometime.
Yeah. While I'm thinking about it, while I want to mention them, PM me your and Chris's mailing address, and let me send you some of our sponsors' products, Snafu Seasoning. It makes a real good grilling rub. It's great on anything. Miss Lee, that works with our show and with 110 Nation, I sent her some, and every week she's telling me something new she's put it on.
We will absolutely do that.
Yeah,
I love to cook.
Corn and put it on bacon and everything. She really likes it. So, yeah, send me your address and Chris's address, and I'll get some sent to you.
Sounds great. We'll absolutely do that. I'll get that to you soon.
Good deal, son. Take care, and thanks once again for coming on, and we'll be talking to you.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for having us on tonight, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Good deal. Good night.
Good night.
Now, Steve, I got a quick little thing before we get before you guys jump into anything else, or we go our separate ways. We didn't get the opportunity to talk about this Monday on Rubbin' Racing, and now that we got you and Chris, we kind of talked a little bit on our conference meeting, but I kind of want to leave this open for discussion. Now that everything is finalized and we know exactly what we're expecting at Martinsville in the Chase, I really want to get your guys' opinion on how NASCAR handled everything and what you guys feel should have been done, or do you guys like what happened, and just change your opinion on how NASCAR is being ran?
Well, I was there. I know that there was a bunch of pissed off fans.
Yeah.
And anytime that you get Talladega fans who love their race acting out in disruptive behavior, NASCAR had to have made a mistake because people wanted to put Talladega down, put the fans down there. But we're talking about some of the most passionate, deep-blooded racing fans. And people from that area come all the way from North Carolina from Arizona, from Iowa, to enjoy the facility at Talladega Motor Speedway. And I tell you what, Super Speedway, I tell you what, they didn't make the right call. And had NASCAR just called the race and said that was the green-white checker, I think people would not have been upset. But when NASCAR pulled the plug and said, oh, gosh, well, we got to redo this farce, it caused a mess-up. And I think from that point on, NASCAR felt like they had to cover up the mistake that they had done. And to be honest with you, it was Logano's race, because had they given it to Junior, it would have been a whole uproar about how conspiracy was NASCAR because Dale Jr. won. But unfortunately, we're still in conspiracy because the conspirator of it all was Kevin Harvick. And it's amazing how they're not trying to dump SHR like they dumped Michael Waltrip Racing.
Yeah.
You know, I think the only difference is their radio conversation was a little better on the coding. You know, I
Mike
honestly
Hilton
believe
said it. Mike Hilton said it. He said that from what they viewed from the radio communications, they could not pinpoint something. He didn't say that there wasn't something there. He said he couldn't pinpoint.
I mean, my honest thought is what their intention was. They knew that they could go 30, 40 miles an hour, whatever. At least caution pace car speed. Obviously, they kept up with the pace speed. But my honest opinion is, and I don't want to speculate, and I want to assume that he was all legit. But my honest opinion is he was banking on Trevor Bayne hitting him hard enough that if he lost, and I'm saying this with air quotes, if he lost control and it was spun out, that would end the race and it wouldn't be at fault. But when things didn't play out, he had to do what he had to do to secure his spot in the chase. That is honestly what I think. Without saying, hey, I'm going to wreck somebody or tell somebody to wreck me, hey, tell number 6 to go ahead and push me. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, okay, once Trevor Bayne accelerates, all that leaves is that rear end to be lifted up, and all of a sudden I couldn't control the car. And I think, honestly, that's what they were hoping would happen.
Well, where NASCAR went wrong was changing their format for Talladega. That you earn respect in racing by consistency. Mm-hmm. Even the drivers, even on the drivers, if a driver wins, people gripe. But eventually that driver wins so much that you become this, well, he's a hell of a wheelman, I still don't like him.
Yeah.
Right or wrong, Steve?
That's it. But the thing that I heard a lot of people arguing about what Harvick did and everything and how it turned out. But if you stop and think about it and look back a couple years through the chase, Kevin Harvick he'll use every trick in the book to advance himself in a race. I mean, Ed Gaines coming out and saying this year that he was going to stomp on Joe Gibbs Racing, the deal with Jimmy Johnson at the first race, the deal last year at Charlotte where he shoved Brad into Jeff and started that fight. I mean, this guy knows all the tricks, and he's got them all in a bag, and he'll pull anyone out he needs to win the race.
Was it him who told that David Reagan was blowing oil? David Reagan, and he didn't even have a bad motor. I mean, the guy Reagan said,
he's
I
like
can't believe I get black flagged.
He is the ultimate head game player. Darrell Waltrip used to be that way, and Kevin Harvick is now. He'll get your head thinking on something else besides racing, and that's all it takes. I mean, if he can get you thinking about him 20%, then that means you're only thinking about your race car 80%, and he's 100% focused on his car. He's got an advantage over you right there.
They call him the closer. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I've got a lot of respect for him, and he makes me laugh sometimes at some of the stuff he does, but it's cool.
Well,
it brings
my father and my son have his birthday, and I tell you what, there's a lot of similarities in all three of them.
Must be something in the alignment of the moon and stars. But
I tell you what, I think so, Steve.
I tell you, Talladega, Alabama is like the capital of Junior Nation. It was when Senior ran there, and they've really adopted Junior. And when Junior didn't win that race and got knocked out of the chase, well, that didn't sit too good with them, and they're still complaining about it now on my Facebook.
Junior lost the race. Junior lost the race. He lost it all day long. He was just so much faster than the field that he was there at the end. He got a caution that saved his rear end, and I think more than once, you know, he put himself in a losing position.
Well, yeah, the crewman covered over the wall too fast. I don't know what was up with the car, but every time he came down pit road, he locked up the he ended up wheel hopping and locking everything up. So instead of be able to, like at the very end of the race, instead of being able to fuel and go, he had to take 2 tires. My big concern is the whole attempt thing. I'm sorry. I'm stuck on 2 things. And the first thing, it blows my mind, and the fact that NASCAR, those guys ran 130 laps, 345 miles to start out that race, caution free. 200 miles an hour, 2, 3, sometimes 4 wide, made those pit stops, had to break out of the draft and everything to do this without a single problem. All of a sudden, the greatest drivers in the world could not restart the race none times at the end of the race. They had 2 opportunities to restart that race, and they couldn't make it from the restart box to start-finish line without wrecking. That blows my mind. But that brings me to the point of the attempt. I'm sorry, but to me, I use this analogy on the 110 Nation Sports Show, a field goal kicker in a football game to attempt to kick a field goal, regardless if there's a blotch kick or the kick gets blocked, that's still considered an attempt. If that kicker touches that ball and it does not go no farther than the defender's hand, that is still considered an attempt. So to me, you break through that daggone the restart box that they have, and that that green flag and that light goes off, turns on, and it is a green, regardless if they make it to that start-finish line. To me, that's an attempt. Just like in the football, if you go to kick that ball in his block, it's still considered an attempt on that kicker's record. I'm sorry, I'm just still stuck on the fact that they redid that. I understand it makes the start-finish line, but if they would have been trigger-happy on the second wreck, they wouldn't have made it to the start-finish line as well. So, I mean, if one is an attempt, then the other one has to be an attempt. If the second one's not an attempt, then the first one's, it has to be an attempt, in my book.
Which completely
that's the way most people think, but that's not the way NASCAR thinks.
Well,
in NASCAR, they kind of ease the rule around whichever way they want it to flow, so that's a lot of it. The thing I hadn't been able to figure out is why they cut the number of green-white checkers restarts from 3 to 1. I mean, you can wipe out just as many cars on the first green-white checkers as you can on the second or the third.
You gave them a competitive advantage by making it a 1, because now you can wreck the field and finish wherever. Now you don't have to worry about 3 restarts and, oh, my God. So NASCAR really stubbed their own toe on that. And thank you for bringing that to the point, because very rarely do I try to chime that NASCAR doesn't know what the hell they're doing, because I'm confident in the organization. But with this, when they first started rumors of it, I knew that this was a bad idea. You just can't change a rule because of a racetrack. I know that they were concerned about. I know that they were concerned about what happened in July. That's plate racing, and it can happen any lap on any restart throughout the race. The big one, you can't stop the big one. And I think NASCAR was foolish for thinking they could.
And my biggest concern was on this whole changing the 3 to the 1 on the restart was if it dictated or changed or had anything to do with the outcome of the chase, That was my biggest concern. And ultimately, that's what just happened. Now that Kevin Harvick did what he did, and he's still in the chase, and you had a couple drivers go home, Dale Jr., was out there leading going into at least the second attempt. And there for a minute, I thought Greg Biffle was going to have enough gas. I was sitting there. I didn't want to. I'm sorry. I'm not any stretch of the imagination. So I did not want to see Dale Jr. win the race anyway. And honestly, I would have wished they could have found a way to make Jeff Gordon not go into the next round. I am so tired of hearing about this retirement ride and this farewell tour. I'm beyond tired of hearing about this. But that was my biggest concern, it changing the green-white checker from 3 to 1 if it would dictate or determine the outcome of this chase. And so far, there's a good possibility this Talladega has just kind of dictated or, prevented one person of being in the chase for championship versus another person.
Don't beat around the bush, CJ. Tell us how you feel about Jeff and Dale Jr.
Jeff, I should have retired 5 years ago. Gordon and Dale dipshit. That's me. And it's sad because I have a lot of respect for Dale Jr. I had the opportunity to be in the media center last year when he won Martinsville. Probably one of the best interviews and media time in the media center that I've ever got to experience. And I tell you what, knowing that what could have been, especially since he won Martinsville last year, for him to show the class that he did after the race, I have a lot of respect for Dale Jr. Don't like the guy, and I never will pull for him.
Boy, if you keep on this, we're going to stomp a Mississippi mud hole up in your butt. Now, we all Dale Jr. fans down here. Now, we ain't going to take none of this. I think it's a direct assault against us and Junior Nation. I mean, I'm going to be like Donald Trump. We're going to build a wall. We're going to build a wall, okay? There's a wall now. And I'm getting you to build it because you keep on with this Dale Jr. hating. And, boy, I tell you what, you're going to make an enemy.
It's the whole Gordon thing. I mean, once upon a time, I was a big Gordon fan. And it just tells my age a little bit for those.
We're news analysts. We're not supposed to be biased.
How's that working?
For those a little bit younger, I'm going to use an old term that the young people listening to the show is not going to know. I used to be a Gordon fan back in the Busch Grand National days. And I have Busch Grand National days, about three games ago. But I was a big Gordon fan. And then once he started winning all the time, and 11 wins in one season, I just don't want to see the same person win all the time. It's just me. And that's why I'm a Danica fan and a Kyle Busch fan. Yes, Kyle Busch wins all the time. It balances out. We don't plan on Danica but winning maybe one race the whole time she's in the Sprint Cup Series. So Kyle Busch, I just like him because everybody hates him.
That's great. And I think that Kyle Busch earned my respect because everybody hates him. But back on the Gordon thing, Gordon come into this sport. You're right, Baby Ruth, Ford, Bill Davis. And, when I've seen a lot of articles written, I've read a lot of stuff about the whole jumping from Ford to Chevy. And I think probably one of the coolest articles I read was Jack Rouse talking about when he went to, offer what Rouse could offer to Jeff Gordon. And the comment was said that he was not going to go to any team without the crew chief, what's his name, Ray Evernham. And Rouse said, there's no way you're going to tell me who your crew chief's going to be. So he passed him, just like that. And, that just shows how Gordon really, he was the wonder boy. And I don't think a lot of us liked Gordon. He's had a very respectful year. Gordon's kind of grown on a lot of race fans. I think any time when you're talking about Dale, there's always that soft spot for Jeff Gordon because we've seen the way that Dale interacted with Gordon. He was the kid.
Oh, yeah.
And Dale lost that when he lost Davey and when we lost Davey. And so, anytime I see Jeff Gordon, I'll always remember Dale in the same sentence because those two raced together. And I think that Jeff took a couple of championships away from Dale.
Yeah.
It's a really weird statistic. Gordon's never won a championship since Johnson's been in it. And Dale never won a championship after Gordon was in it. So we wonder, who the next person is.
Yeah, Dale and Jeff had a mutual respect for each other. Dale with his image, would hide it, and call him Wonder Boy and stuff like that. But deep down, he had a lot of respect and realized that, hey, that boy can drive. And I think, that's just part of Dale's personality. That's just the way he was. So it's nothing negative
Dale taught a lot of
about
people
him.
about branding, and Rusty Wallace went to Dale to get to ask him how to signature his name. And, I think that anybody that went through that garage during that point in time needed a nod from the man. And the personal relationships that those drivers had with him, I mean, he's a legend. He is still a legend. And I think that's why a lot of us that are part of that Talladega breed, we stand behind Junior so well. I mean, you say what you want to, but he was the fastest car Sunday. Sometimes the fastest car just don't win.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
And back to my Kyle Busch comment, that's not the main reason that I like Kyle Busch. That's just a cherry on the top for me. When it comes to Kyle Busch, and I think we've seen that a lot this year again, I honestly believe that Kyle Busch could do more in 3 wheels than most drivers can do with 4 wheels.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Kyle Busch, the person, but I have a ton of respect for Kyle Busch as a driver. And I've said this before, I think he is, without a doubt, the smartest race car driver driving Cup today. He is just so good at breaking the corner down.
I don't know. I think he gave Logano too much information. I've watched Logano, and I think probably the best part of Logano's career, he's going to look back and realize how much Kyle really taught him, because he had to beat Kyle. And we watched him race Kyle, and it was a personal challenge to him any time to beat his teammate. And now he gets to use that for his advantage. Look who just won 3 races in a row.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I tell you, that'll show you right there, he's finally comfortable with himself and the situation he's in, and the result of that, he's turning back into sliced bread, what everybody thought he was going to be when he first started driving Cup.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see the talent come out, and he's got a good attitude too. If you read some of the stories posted on Facebook about him, there was one today. He was getting a lot of nasty and hate-filled Twitter messages and stuff, and he's just laughing it off and loving it and everything, and they're throwing beer cans at him at Talladega, and he thinks it's great. And so he's a personality, and he's going to be a lot of fun for the next few years while he's racing.
Yeah, which brings us back to the point. Have we seen, if Joey Logano wins the championship this year, could he be the driver that keeps Jimmy Johnson from ever winning his 7th championship? That's the question that we have in front of us.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be so much Joey that keeps Jimmy back, or if it's just the Penske organization, because they've got 2 strong drivers in Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano, and that's a pretty tough combination there. They've got a lot of car knowledge between them. They communicate real good. They're pretty much the same age. What Penske's put together over there is really going to be a strong team, and it's going to be a strong team for quite a while. Maybe consistently stronger than Hendrick Motorsports over the next few years. So I wouldn't count Jimmy out, but he's got his work cut out for him now.
Now, I'm going to brush my shoulder off as I say this, but when I go down on the weekend of the 20th in November to Homestead to do media coverage, I hope it's not Joey Logano.
You are biased today. You are.
I'm telling you.
What did you do, watch the Democratic debate or something? I mean, seriously. I mean, guys, we need you to vote for Trump, man. Huh? Whose side are you on?
It was funny because when I got the email to let me know that I was, we was going to do coverage at Homestead, I had originally forgot that I even submitted to Homestead. And I get the email, and the first time I looked at it, I kind of brushed over. I thought it was just spam mail. It just said something about credentials, and I wasn't really paying attention. And the second time I scoped through it, I thought it had to do with next weekend's race that Steve and myself will be out at Charlotte for the World of Outlaws. And so I opened it up just to make sure that nothing had changed and everything else. And I start reading this email, and I'm like, oh, my God. Like, I'm ready to run outside. I'm at work. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm reading this email. I'm ready to go outside, yell, do backflips, cartwheels, everything else. And I'm just trying to refrain myself. And so I ended up telling Shorty and let her know, we've been living together for about 22 months, and outside of me doing media coverage and being gone overnight, spending the night in the parking lot or whatever the case may be with the, being a low-budget ordeal, we've not spent, that much time away from each other. So we're conversating right before the show that particular night. I almost say it was a Tuesday night or Wednesday night. I forget which night it was. And, she's kind of upset. She's like, I wish you'd have put me in. I wish I could go to this race. Why didn't you put me in? And, I'm trying to think reasons why I possibly didn't. I didn't remember putting myself in. No, whether I put someone else in for it or not. And I'm like, we talked about it earlier. I put you in for Kentucky. You got approved for that. I put you in for Charlotte. You didn't get approved for that. We was talking about 2 races because of your work. I said also there's a possibility that maybe I didn't put you in because I didn't want to push it. I was thinking maybe if I submit myself as just one person, maybe they'll let me in. But, I was kind of just throwing my name in a hat, didn't really think nothing of it. And about 5 to 10 minutes before we came on the show that night, I was like, why don't you check your email? Maybe there's a possibility I did. I just don't remember. And, the phone, she got the phone on. You can see her face because of the light on the screen. And all of a sudden, you see this grin from ear to ear. And she's like, I get to go. I was like, wow. And what's really cool about it to me is with SMI that owns Kentucky and Bristol and Atlanta and all these other tracks that are local to us, I appreciate everything they've done. I appreciate the fact that we're going to the World of Outlaws next weekend and everything else. But it's kind of been hit and miss. Like when we went to Kentucky, Shorty wasn't able to go into the media center, what she wasn't supposed to, but they didn't check her thing. We hardly have ever gotten media parking and everything else. Homestead, the final race of the season, the championship race, not only do we get to go, we got everything I submitted for. We got media parking. She gets the photo vest. We're both in the media center. Anything and everything that I applied for, they gave us. And I really am very appreciative of what Homestead did for us, and thankful for NASCAR giving us this opportunity as well.
Well,
that's why we can't really talk bad about them. I mean, they made some bad decisions in this race, and that whole thing led up to exactly where I stood as, I don't like to down a form of racing because I think it takes all of racing. Racing is a community. It's not dirt track racing or short track racing. It's motorcycle racing. It's F1 racing. It's all these races. And if you support one, I know you may not like or prefer the other forms of racing, but it's hard for me to put racing down. But, I think with the reaction of the fans, it showed that NASCAR probably made some mistakes somewhere, and they would be hurting themselves if they tried to deny it.
It's like, it's kind of like the deal with changing the green-white checkers on the super speedways. I mean, it's just, it was a mistake on their part, but they'll never admit it. And I think the reason, there was nothing done about the deal with Harvick and Jimmy Johnson and nothing done about Logano and Matt Kenseth and everything. I had thought, that NASCAR wasn't going to do anything because they didn't want to get involved in something that might change the outcome of the chase. I mean, I figured, NASCAR would just pretty much go back to what they said a few years ago about boys have at it and just, stay out of it and let the championship be decided on the racetrack instead of in the corporate offices in Daytona. But when they come out with that deal at Talladega, that kind of changed my mind. I said, well, y'all need to admit y'all screwed up on that one and fix it. But, NASCAR, there's too much pride in NASCAR. They aren't going to ever admit they made a mistake.
Oh, no, they're not.
Well, we're running out of time. Let's get everybody's social media feeds and let everybody know what you got going on in the next few days. Go ahead and start, Chris.
Did we lose? No, he's still there.
I don't know. Did Chris bail on us?
Yeah, I have the mute button on. You can find us at yellowcautionflag.com. That has all of our media sites there. Yellowcautionflag.com. Look us up through Google, and you'll find all of our stuff. We're officially off for the season. Unless anything changes, we'll be Facebook stalking until then.
I heard that. CJ, how about you?
Make sure you guys check out tomorrow's our second show on the 110 Nation morning show. Make sure you guys check that out at 8 a.m. The CJ and Shorty show at noon as well. Also, make sure you check out our fan pages. My personal fan page, Mr. CJ Sports, or we condensed both 110 fan pages today to make it easier and to not fill up everybody's timeline. So make sure you guys check out 110 Nation Sports fan page as well. You can check me on Twitter at CJSports1, the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Also check out our site, www.the110nation.com.
There you go. The show at noon tomorrow, maybe I'll catch it. I might be up. The 8 o'clock show, it ain't happening. I ain't going to be up for that. But I'm up most of the night. I'm just a night person anyway. I've always have been. I worked in nightclubs for years, so I'm just adapted to being up at night.
I'm the same way. I've been a bouncer for 10 years, and all my jobs are late, and usually Shorty don't get home till after the show, so we're up late after that and everything else. So doing this whole morning show, thanks to somebody suggesting we needed a morning show, I'm not going to say no names, Chris, but it's definitely been a chore to try to get up in the morning to do a morning show.
You worked as a nightclub bouncer, too?
Yeah, I've bounced at many clubs locally and also at Chapel Hill. I miss those days. I miss working in Chapel Hill, especially at Halloween, Franklin Street, and bouncing the clubs. And of course, when UNC won their last basketball championship, things were really crazy during that period of time as well. But, yeah, I've been in the bouncing business for about 10 years now.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time as a nightclub bouncer, too, and then as I got older, I decided I was just too old for that. It was taking too long to get over some of the nights, so I switched over to a DJ. But I worked as a bouncer and a DJ in a topless bar here in Raleigh, and that was a great job for about the first 3 weeks. And then after that, you got all these women fighting with each other and jealous and everything, and it just got on my nerves. But there were some other benefits that we won't go into now, but we'll talk about on private messages later.
Well,
back to the original subject.
Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's fixing to roll to a close, and I'm trying to think of what next month is. I don't know. I saw, but it's another cancer.
It's hug a old man month. So maybe you'll
there
get plenty
you go.
of
That'd be
month.
good. I'm up for that, so to speak. No pun intended. All right. Let me get my social media stuff, and we got to get out of here before I say something the FCC's really going to crack down on us. But if you want to follow me, on Twitter, good luck, because I don't know much about Twitter. I can post jokes and stuff like that on there, but that's about all I do. But I'm there at Big Sweat. They call me the NASCAR Heartbreaker and Home Wrecker. Facebook is the easy way to find me. I have 2 Facebook groups, NASCAR and Other Racing, which we're doing real good with it. We've got about 7,000 members in about a year and a half. So we've drawn in a lot of people there. We have a lot of drivers. the two drivers we had on tonight, I pulled them up from the group, and a lot of the drivers we've had on this year have been in our group. So come join us if you like to talk racing, and if you want to talk trash about drivers or cuss a lot or anything, don't bother joining us, because we don't tolerate that. We're not about that, and we'll delete you real quick for that. The other group I got is Racing with Big Sweat. It's on Facebook, and it's pretty much the schedule week to week of who's going to be on the show and everything. So if you got any questions about the show, you want to know who's going to be on or anything, just check in there. And I guess that about wraps it up. Y'all got anything else?
No, I ain't got nothing, and Chris has already decided to leave us.
Well, thanks a lot, Chris. I appreciate you sticking around to hear me talk. I'll remember that next week. I'll hit the mute button on him. All right, folks, I haven't got anybody lined up yet for next week, but we will. We'll try to get you a good show planned. We had a good show tonight, I think. Quite interesting. Good talking to Brayton Halls and Martin Sweat. Made me an honorary Sweat brother now, so I'm in on that deal, and I'm going to try to get down and see him since he's not that far from me. Y'all check us out next week. We'll be having just as much fun then. And please go to the Snafu Seasoning website, www.snafuseasoning.com, and order you some. Try it out. If you just want to try it out, you don't want to spend the money, call into the show. If you call in, I'll get your name and address, and I'll send you a sample so you can try it out, see what you think about it. All right, folks, we're out of here. Good night. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk with you next week.